Welcome to a nutty adventure exploring personal growth and wellness, breaking down the stigma around mental health along the way. Let's dive in because now it's time to show me your nuts.
Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, and you know what that means. That means it is time to show me your nuts, or I may show you my nuts. I don't know yet. I am super excited this morning because I have a guest waiting in the back room, and we're going to have an amazing discussion about a topic we both absolutely love. Well, okay, several topics that we both love, but who's counting? Who's counting, right? So today we're going to talk about technology as your ally, not your enemy. Because here's the deal. Any tool in the world that humans have created, found, come across, whatever, they all should be used for good, not for evil. I mean, that's just kind of like many of us can agree on that, probably. There may be people out there who want to use things for evil, not saying there aren't. But I think overall, like, humans crave safety, security, and, survival. And using tools for good feeds that goal. And our tools can go all the way back to the first one we had, which was fire. So technology, as we use the word technology now, and I think people frequently they conceive of that word to mean digital technology, devices, telephones, computers, software, etc. When in fact, really the word technology could also include the printing press and flint and steel, and it's the technology of the time, whatever that is. So, but I think the farther we go, the less we think of older things as technology, and the more we think of only the new things as whatever technology is. So I'd like you to help this morning, like, expand your mind and think of technology in that expanded version of any tool or thing we used to do what we do, to survive, to feel safe, to feel secure, to I'll pull one of them out, to wash all of our clothes faster than going to the nearest stream and scrubbing them on a washboard so that we can have more time to do other things. So any of our tools and technology should move us forward that way somehow and not be used for harm. Not that they can't be, but the intention, right? So technology should be your friend, not your enemy. And I think when we perceive it as friend, not enemy, we're more likely to use it in those good ways. So it's kind of the whole idea of, coming to life with positivity, with gratitude, brings more positivity and gratitude, having your higher frequency, those kinds of things. Although not to make today totally a spiritual thing, but I think we're going to go there. We're going to mix up the science, the technology, the art, and the spirituality today. So my guest is Michelle Walters, hypnotherapist, marketing coach, and creator of Make My Hypno. And I will tell you more about her in just a minute after I ask the question. So you guys know the drill. If you've been here before and you're in the chat, we're going to do How Charged Are Your Nuts? So our question today, how charged are your nuts? On a scale of 1 acorn to 10 squirrels, how much is technology driving your 2 a.m. anxiety spirals? On a scale of 1 acorn to 10 squirrels, How much is technology driving your 2 a.m. anxiety stuff? And we'll keep an eye on it throughout the show for people who are watching. And if you're watching this on the replay, which is so cool that we've got live and then we've got replay. Or if you're my age, is it live or is it Memorex? If you know, you know. 2 a.m., 2 acorns. We've got 2 a.m., 2 acorns in the chat from Sang D. 2 acorns in the chat. Chemical Soup TV, it's so good to see you back. It's been a bit. I'm so glad to see you here. I just put Sang up again. All right. On a scale of 1 acorn to 10 squirrels. I confuse myself because I change that one up every week. But you got to change stuff around. So as we're going along, how much is technology driving your anxiety? So I'm going to bring us back and talk about what I think technology or Techxiety is. So the word technology, the word anxiety kind of had a baby. They called it Techxiety. And it's the friction that happens when technology, digital technology, most specifically, devices, software, especially software, navigating new websites, navigating new platforms, those kinds of things. When technology meets the human nervous system and triggers overwhelm. So let me go back with that one again. Techxiety is the friction that happens when technology meets the human nervous system and it triggers overwhelm. Puts you like 0 to 60 in 2 seconds when you see a website and you're like, what the hell? What am I going to do? I don't know which button to push. I don't know which thing. I don't know what this is. And I don't know what to do. Or I've done this before, but I've forgotten. Or I've done this before and I'm clicking the button and it's not doing what I want. It's not doing what I think. So Techxiety is what I help people with. And one of the ways I do that actually kind of weaves into what Michelle and I are going to geek out about today, because Michelle Walters is a breakthrough catalyst who actually uses technology to soothe the nervous system. So we're going to get into some of that and talk about ways that technology can be used to soothe the nervous system, and things that where technology can be used as that ally instead of an evil nemesis, and how we can kind of change our viewpoint to that. So without too much further ado, welcome to Show Me Your Nuts, Michelle.
Hi, Stacy. Happy to be here today.
How's your Thursday going?
Well, I'm on the West Coast, so it's still early here, but it's going just great.
Yep. Sunshine?
Yes. We had rain last weekend, but today is sunny.
Ooh, send some of it this way. I'm in the Midwest and we had rain, so. Although rain's not bad, because it was a friend of mine used to call it liquid sunshine because it brings the flowers.
Absolutely.
I'm like, I get
years
it.
ago, I lived in Seattle where it rained a lot. And it was always green, as opposed to California, which is green where I live is green in the winter, and the brown is now encroaching because we're in April. So
it's green in the winter time.
Mm-hmm. The hills, like the grasses and that kind of a thing, because it rains in the winter. And then we have a very dry Mediterranean climate in this part of the state. And so the grasses on the hills stop getting rain and they turn to gold. It's really where I think California's nickname is the Golden State. And a lot of people think that comes from our gold rush, which I'm not saying is not associated. But part of it is that so many hills all over California are covered in gold for half the year because the grasses are dry.
And no matter which way it's from, they're
It
both
works both
true.
ways. Yeah.
They're both true. Wait. That means two things can be true at the same time.
Exactly. Well, there you go.
There we go. Show's over, guys. No. Oh,
Just
tell
like as you were saying before, and a big theme of a lot of my work is that tools are tools.
Mhm.
And what matters about them is how you use them, right?
Exactly. Like,
And I'm doing a speaking presentation coming up, and one of the things I'm going to talk about is, say you've got a cup, right? A cup is a tool. It contains the liquid so that you can drink it, right?
yeah.
You can use that for good, like to drink something, but you could also use it to pour water into and then splash your friend. Maybe that's
one.
that's good. Maybe that's not so good. But
If
the
it's a
point
glass one, you could break it and use it to hurt somebody.
you could break it and use it to hurt somebody. The point is that the tool itself is neutral, right?
Mhm.
It's the intention and consequences of how you use it that we put judgment on and say something is good or bad or helpful or not helpful or whatever.
Bring on the mic drops and the clarity. Bring it on. So, when I was reading the Techxiety definition, what do you think of that one? Of the friction that comes between when somebody is looking, especially at what we call technology now, the digital technology or hardware or software, and it meets the nervous system and it triggers overwhelm.
Well, it seems pretty natural that that would happen because technology has just skyrocketed, grown exponentially
Mhm.
over the last, I don't know, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever you want to start measuring it by.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't really think our nervous systems were built for the world changing quite so fast.
Well,
You
so my
know?
question is actually, in a way, is it the Techxiety or is it change that that our nervous system is overwhelmed? Is it overwhelmed by change?
I
Is it
I think
overwhelmed
I think it's
technology
I mean,
itself?
I think the change for a lot of people is technology, you know? You look
Mhm,
at somebody like my 86-year-old dad who needs me to go over there and open his emails and print his reports and this kind of a thing because he's 86 and he doesn't really need to want to, go there, you
mhm,
know? But the truth of the matter is that this is not just a force that is affecting 86-year-old retired dads.
mhm,
It's also something that is creeping into the worlds of our children.
mhm.
Look at what happens when you take a cell phone away from a teenager. I mean, it is nutso, because of
And
the
it's a different way that presents itself of
yeah,
technology and mental wellness
yeah.
impacts or overwhelm.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think some people are trying to sort of get through this by having their daughters open their emails. And some people are getting through this by really latching in and almost making technology such an important component of their life and identity that, you know, oh, what, the phone doesn't work for a day? Heavens to Betsy, what are you going to do?
Oh, I've got about
It's
10
a real
things I'm
force,
gonna
and I think it's sometimes you're talking about how, technology right now, we sort of say that and people's minds instantly go to their computers and their phones and that kind of a thing, but I just got back from a trip overseas, and I had a chance to go to a museum, and I went to a couple of museums that were talking about the technology of printing, back from the 1600s, right?
Uh-huh.
You know, that was massive in terms of, opening up books and that
I was
kind of a
gonna
thing,
say the
you know?
shift that created in society at the time was just as huge to them at the time as
Right,
what we're living through now.
right,
Or
and it
think about
helped
the
me to
car.
remember, like, humanity has gone through a lot of big changes, and we'll go through even more to come.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't mean that to play down the massiveness of the change going on right now, the
No,
size of
not
it,
at all.
but uh, humanity is going to continue to create and evolve. That's kind of what I think we're part of the human experience, why people come here.
And I think in a way, see what you think about this one is that, yeah, we come here to experience all of those things. And yet, so we, like, as humans, we are both terrified of change and the way I put it is that humans want the results of change, but we're terrified of it, and we don't always want to do whatever it takes to do the change.
Mhm.
Partly because of the fear, but sometimes it's because we just don't want to change. We don't want to change. We
The
want the
status
results
quo
of it.
can feel really, really good, right?
Hell yeah. Let me just float. Let me just float, baby.
I do try to, in my work, remind people that so a lot of what I like to talk about also is decision making and making
Mhm,
quality decisions. And one of the things that I stress in that work is that I define a decision as an allocation of resources. So that allocation of resources could be your time, it could be your money, it could be your energy, it could be whatever. It's an allocation of resources, that's a decision.
mhm.
And some people, what this does then is it helps people understand that, like, yeah, you could go see a new therapist or hire a coach or purchase a whatever. Those
Mhm,
are all decisions, but a decision is also to maintain the status quo.
mhm.
A decision is also that you are not changing anything, that you are continuing to put the resources that you were putting in the past into the same thing.
Yeah.
And so it's a I find it really valuable, and I think a lot of people find it valuable to step back and kind of logically approach this and say, okay, well, you know, do I want to keep doing what I'm doing? Or
Uh-huh.
do I want to explore some different options that always are going to have trade-offs
I
associated with
think that
them?
shift in perspective
But it
is
helps people recognize sort of their agency in the matter, right?
mhm,
That they have some control over a situation where maybe they weren't recognizing their control.
yeah. I think the agency, it definitely is, realizing your own self-determination, your own agency. And at the same time, I think it's also reminding us that there's a cost to change. There's also a cost to not changing,
Exactly.
right? And which
Exactly.
one, I don't or if you're familiar with, motivational interviewing as a technique, they
I
have there's
not
a
by that name anyway.
yeah, it's by Miller and Rolnick is the name of the book is Motivational Interviewing, and it's a therapeutic technique. And one of the tools in that framework is called a decision matrix. And there's a particular way you go through it to walk yourself through a decision such that you can see, and if you can picture a four squared item, I'm not going to go the whole thing, but in a way, it's the pros of changing, the cons of changing, the pros of not changing, the pros of not changing, or the cons of not changing, so that you can look at all four perspectives. And granted, there's some gray in there too, but as you go, the way that they have you walk through this particularly helps look at those costs, the cost and benefit, basically a cost benefit analysis. I'm not a marketing salesperson. That I don't even play one on TV. I get a headache when I think about that piece of things. Even when I try and translate it to therapist talk, it just, yeah. Um, but it I think looking at the costs and benefits of things is really important. Um,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
I want to shift us back to that agency and control, because I think that's a good place to start to hear more about what you're doing in the world and how you're weaving technology that's being to be used for good into something that to make some, and let me correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to say that what you're doing is making something that's not always accessible to everyday people, Joe Blow down the street, a therapeutic tool, more accessible to them than it historically has been. Is that a
Yes,
good way to put
I
it?
think that's true. I think
Okay.
that's true. I was called on another podcast, oh, a Robin Hood, in terms of bringing an expensive what has been a very expensive, technique and tool in the past to people at a much affordable price. So, I am a clinical hypnotherapist. I've been in practice for 5 years. Before that, I worked in digital marketing, and so I have a long
So if I
background
knew
in
that secret,
yeah. So that explains a lot, I think, of
I mean,
kind of
I saw it in your bio, but I don't think I knew it at that level. When I heard you say it,
yeah,
I just heard a different
yeah.
energy.
So I was sending out emails and building websites for major corporations in the late 90s and all the way through. And
Nice.
so having had that background, I have kind of a broad perspective on what can be done
Mhm.
and a certain degree of um, I guess, boldness or innovation focused perspective that technology is really should, in my mind, should go hand in hand with some of these techniques and tools that people can use to help with their issues.
Mhm.
Mindset issues in terms of getting one to exercise or reducing your sweating when you're stressed or getting to sleep or more effectively and staying asleep.
Yeah.
All of these things have been shown to be tied to the power of the mind. And what I like to do is find ways to use technology to help people in that setting.
And
My Go
as
ahead,
as
Stacey.
you're speaking, I'm kind of visualizing also this spectrum or this continua of, especially the tool one of the tools we're talking about, talking about hypnotherapy or hypnosis, not hypnotherapy, but hypnosis as it is. I Because I think there's a spectrum of where hypnosis lies. And one thing that people generally don't realize is, if when they say, "Oh, well, I can't be hypnotized. I've never been in trance. I can't be in trance." And I'm like, "Well, have you ever driven down the highway and you forgot how you got from point A to point B? Or have you ever brushed your teeth without thinking about it?
Yeah.
You've been You've involved your unconscious mind and you've been in trance." And we don't, we're not taught that that's what that is. And so I'm seeing this, this large spectrum of, if I'm having trouble, I love the sweating example you gave. That one's brilliant. Is that there's this large spectrum of things that hypnosis can be used for, that there's some of it that needs to be more accessible to everyone. And then there's also the pieces that need to be live with a coach or with a therapist. And each are different um use cases, if you will. It's not quite that
Well,
clear.
they're different approaches for what's gonna
Well,
work during it.
different reasons for using it, because you wouldn't want to use you may not want to use something, um you might not want to use something for trauma that would be good for weight loss.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
and
the level of
it depends a little bit on the individual, it depends a little bit on
the trauma.
their approach, their trauma, their how long a problem's been going on, like, there's lots of different factors in here.
And I know from your background, and I know from what you're working on is one of the things that's important to you is that people are safe in the use of anything, as
Yeah.
opposed to, okay, so I'm going to bring up an unsafe or potentially unsafe interaction that we could have right now with technology and mental wellness. And that would be using ChatGPT as your sole and only therapist.
Mhm.
I personally give my clients ChatGPT homework to do. As a therapist, it's not their only, they're still doing therapy. that is an adjunctive thing, right? So I
Right.
know that I know this of that you are holding that holding that safe space for people is just as important to you. But I think what I want to bring to our audience is just knowing that what we're talking about here is we're not talking about and I think of safe sex when I think of this. We're not talking about unsafe AI, GPT, app, hypno, any use. We're not talking about that. We are literally talking about it being in a safe container.
Yeah.
And the immense uh, beyond blowing your mind uses of this. So just with that disclaimer kind of thing out of the way, because it is there can be sensitive topics that people.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. And there are topics that from my perspective are good for technology and not so good for
Mhm.
technology. So if somebody has a lot of trauma, there's inner child problems, this problem's been going on for years, maybe it's a massive phobia. Like there are lots of things that in my mind are best served by working individually with somebody who's been
Mhm.
trained, is an expert and experienced in solving those problems.
Where you've got the human and maybe in a in can see because I see it as a conjunction with. I see your tool as, ooh, I can use your tool with or for my clients while they're also, they're with me as I'm the human that's transmuting and working things,
Right.
working on because there's an art and a science to therapy and to coaching, both. You've got to use both. Technology will never replace the human part, but it absolutely can replace some of the science-based, and when put together um, carefully, as you have done, it can be an amazing adjunctive tool for therapists. So any of our colleagues out there watching us, this is you guys need to look into as even if you as even and especially if you don't do hypnosis yourself. If you're a
Yeah.
therapist and you don't do hypnosis yourself, you've got a colleague here who has a safe container and tool that you could adjunctively use with your practice.
So let
Beautiful.
me go into just kind of what tool it is we're talking about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I started off like a lot of other, hypnotherapists making recordings, either recording sessions with clients or
Mhm.
recording general sessions and putting those up for sale. And then last year, I started thinking about it and I was like, well, this AI train is pretty massive. It seems to be coming down the freeway whether we like it or not.
Uh-huh.
And it could be used for good or it could be used for bad. How might I use it for good? And
Mhm.
what I realized is, what is it good at? Is really good at stringing words together in a way that sounds lovely. And it's really good at being positive about like being you can do
Yeah.
this kind of thing.
Oh,
And
yes.
so I thought, I wonder if there's a way that I can create a tool that will make hypnotic recordings for clients that are personalized to the client and produced in just a few minutes.
Mhm.
Because I've been producing these recordings for years and they're great. My recordings are wonderful, but they're
Mhm.
not made for Stacy. And
Right.
Stacy might want to imagine herself working on her anxiety problems on a tropical beach,
Mhm.
whereas Michael might want to imagine solving his problems on a windswept mountain.
Yep.
Stacy
Yeah.
might have certain affirmations that she would love to have incorporated in her recording, and Michael might want his recording to focus on something a little different.
Yeah.
And what I came up with is my tool called makemyhypno.com. I usually describe it as an app, but you won't find it in the app stores right now. It's a
Right.
.com. You go there and you answer just a few little easy questions like your name and what you want this for and your happy place and if you have any personal details like help me get a job or help me sleep all night or that kind of a thing. And in just a few minutes, it takes your inputs and uses my voice and my engine to custom create an audio recording that will be emailed to the purchaser in a matter of about 5 or 10 minutes. Now, there's really no point in my mind in making it faster than 5 or 10 minutes. People need to wait that long. But it's pretty magical in that there really doesn't seem to be other tools out there that are working quite this way. And I
Mhm.
built this going, okay, like I can do this. I can string together the technology to make it happen. But what will people think of it? At the end of the day, does it
Yep.
produce results? And I get such great feedback on it. People love it that it has their name, that it has their gym. People love it that it is for their particular use case.
Mhm.
Some tell me that they see results from listening to their recording the next day. And some people tell me that they do what most hypnotherapists would recommend, which is listen to it nightly or every other night.
Mm.
And while they didn't have instant changes, 2 weeks later, they started doing whatever they were trying to
Yep.
do. I created this as a supplement to the work that I'm already doing.
Right.
And I I put it all at risk in a way. I sent out a recording made by my app, to a client who's purchased many recordings from me, and I thought, we'll see if she decides to start to switch her business to the app as opposed to working with me. And her feedback was that the app recording was nearly as good as me, which for something that's automated is pretty amazing. But
Yeah.
she still comes back to see me for things that are specific that she wants
Yeah.
particular help with.
And I think that brings me to some nuance in our field, in the field specifically of hypno. I think you're right. This is great for, I'll call it great for little things. I'm not gonna, that's not to make it, it's not to diminish it by any means. It's that there are protocols, different, deeper protocols and more intensive work, and sometimes even work where you're watching the person on the screen, on, because you can do hypno definitely on video. You're watching your person, and you're watching and you're listening for certain things. And as a human, I can switch gears on that, where the recording is just going to be the recording. It's static,
Exactly. The
you know.
recording is
And I
not
think that's
responsive
where, again,
to
I
yeah,
see that spectrum of that not a spectrum, a continua of the level of services that people need. So it's not a replacement, but it's a beautiful adjunct. Like, I have clients who, there's little things that they want to change a habit or change a little thing. And then there's deeper other things where we might want to do, you and I were talking, we need to do some parts work, or to do inner child work, or some trauma work. That's where when you have the artisan of the human involved, where you can follow your client where they're at. That's
exactly.
where and I think it's also the right tool for the right job, if we're, coming back to that. Um, but I love the beauty of them being able to choose and use their own words, because the one of the biggest powers in hypnosis is the use of that person's perspective, because 8.3 billion people on the planet, 8.3 different movies running at the same time in our heads. And if we use the words from our movie to talk to our unconscious mind, which is hypno, it's going to hit better.
It hits
And just
better,
for
which
everybody,
is
I've got
perfect.
the link is on the screen. It's also in the show notes. If you're interested in looking the at Michelle's app, because yeah. So you've gotten good feedback on it. That's
I've gotten good feedback on it, both from, direct customers as well as from other professionals in the field, which meant a
Mhm.
lot to me because
And if I'm not mistaken, did you not have a colleague of ours help you with some of the final work on it, who also, he's like brilliant with computers and with hypno?
he is. So
Uh-huh.
I did a lot of the work myself. I did
Right.
hire some of the, technical work from overseas,
Yep.
and yes, a mutual friend of ours has helped me with some of the deeper
Like some final
detailing
tweak,
bits of the whole
final
thing.
tweaking,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like to play at the more sort of strategic visionary level, and while
Me
I
too.
can get down and, like, change a little code here or there and kinda get thrilled by doing that,
Yeah. So,
um, for
shout
some
out
of the
to
problems, as an inventor, I've learned that you get help.
yeah, shout out to Alex.
Yes.
I can't remember which episode number, but Alex Onderood and Sarah Horn were both on an episode of Show Me Your Nuts early on with me, and, we geeked out on, shooting on yourself and on, unconscious mind work and things 'cause, they're both master practitioners, of NLP, MER, and hypnosis too, so I wanted to sneak in a little shout out to our buddy
Absolutely.
Alex there.
Alex has been very, very helpful, and I think will
He's
continue to be
combination geek and
consulting with me as I evolve it, because I created this and then
mhm,
realized that there are even more uses for it than I first thought of. So I'm now looking for other hypnosis practitioners who want to put their directions and their voices in the app and sell the
that's
recordings
game
themselves.
changer right there.
There we go. So Stacy
Yeah.
will have to have a follow-up about that.
Yeah, we
Uh,
do, we do.
we do,
And
and,
I think that speaks also to, I may if, 'cause we like to go down the squirrel hole or rabbit holes here. It opens up the fact of, our unconscious mind is where our creativity lives, which, hello, it's where the squirrels are, and the squirrels hold that creativity for us. We have access to source, to creativity, to everything, every possibility in the universe. And that's what hypnosis actually does is helps people reach into that accessibility of everything. And I love the fact that what you're doing with the app and your journey of creating it has also taken you in that same place. That
well,
you
before this, I worked in corporate marketing, and there's a lot of wonderful stuff going on over there.
yeah,
But this opportunity to have some time to be an entrepreneur, to open up my ideas and my creativity and see where this can carry not just me, but others, you know?
well, you also didn't just stop with one thing.
No,
And
no,
it's we're back to change or not, right? There would be a cost to just going, "Okay, this is what the app's gonna be. This is all it's gonna be. There's no more."
no.
It might not have opened
That's
it up
just
to the
looking.
other possibilities.
Yeah. No, so this year I'm sort of looking at extensions for the app, and I don't know what will happen next year. Maybe, more development on the app. Maybe another thing will lightning bolt will strike and I will go in another direction. I don't know, but I do think that a lot of people are unaware of the fact that when you start using hypnosis or working with someone in hypnotherapy, even if it's to address what might be a completely different thing, like a phobia of bees or a
Mhm.
can't sleep problem, that oftentimes what I see in my clients is that as they spend time teaching themselves to go into trance, to use trance to help them with whatever it is they're working on,
Mhm.
it seems to expand their mind, to open up more ideas, more ways for creative expression, more ways for asserting who they are,
Yeah.
more ideas of, oh, well, I could pick up a new hobby that
I
I've
just
always wanted to
visualize
do,
I
it's
visualize
so
hypnosis
delightful.
as a road construction crew,
Yes, yes, that's lovely.
opening up these other pathways and these new highways that weren't there before
Mhm.
into maybe, another one highway goes to this beautiful lake that you couldn't get to before, and another highway goes up the mountain, you know, and to just these different places that you weren't able to reach before or didn't even know were there,
Right.
and you've got an infinite expanse to go into.
Well, let's back to safety, back to, like,
Yes.
what's good. Um, My app has been designed to work on 20 different topics right now, and I kind of mix up the topics, so there's some new choices that appear every couple of months and things that people don't
What
seem
kind
to
of
be
topics?
buying. Oh, the topics include sleep and anxiety and confidence. But I also have a few in there right now that are focused really on people and their professional, like confidence in communications kind of thing,
Oh,
leadership. Because these are topics that are near and dear to my heart. And so they kind of tend to be topics that people that I work with might want to get into.
near and dear is a good place to start always, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Um,
But there's some things that are not on the list.
mhm.
There are some things that are not on the list, and I have not put them on the list because I don't think that my tool is the best way to solve that problem. So,
Ah,
a simple example is smoking. If you are somebody who wants to quit smoking and try hypnotherapy, awesome. That's great. My little app probably ain't gonna cut it. And so I don't
oh,
have that as a choice. So
mhm,
if there is something that you listeners or viewers might be interested in approaching, but you don't see it on the list, that's a good idea to like give either book an appointment and give me a call, give Stacy a call, like
mhm,
talk to someone else because this tool is going to be great for a lot of things. Weight management is on the list for anybody who wants to
mhm.
know. Um,
Hypnosis helped me, personally about I'm trying to think of what year it was. It was 19. Um, I detested, detested exercise
yeah.
to the extent, and now mind you, I was already working therapist for quite some time. I wasn't a hypnotherapist yet. I had been in hypnosis for my hypnotherapy with a colleague, had been doing hypnotherapy on me for quite a few years by then. But I could not even say the word exercise out of my mouth. The
Uh,
word would not even come out of my mouth. That's how, whatever.
yeah.
Obviously, you just heard it come out of my mouth several times. I'm currently on day 43 of being on the treadmill every single day.
Good job.
The only reason that's not 300 and something is because I had a knee injury in between. Um, uh, and had to, had some physical therapy and various things, but the hypnotherapy is what changed that for me.
Yeah.
And
Hypnotherapy for exercise can be very powerful. I've seen it work with a lot of clients.
yeah, and just like I said, couldn't even say the word. And then
Mhm.
once I got that unblocked, then the next thing is the why was I not wanting to do it, or how it wasn't even that, it was actually building the strategy. So there was some NLP involved as well.
Mhm.
By the time I got to the point where now I'm on, like my biggest streak was 166 days.
That's fantastic, Stacy. That's
Last
great.
last year I did 166 days before I re-injured my knee. And originally I did 90 days. So I've got 300 and some days under my belt, just not in a row yet. Yet.
Yet. Yet.
I'm
Yes.
I'm 320 some days away from it. Because I'm
Well,
determined to
one
get it.
of the very popular choices on makemyhypno.com is the exercise one.
I would imagine exercise is
And
a big one.
part of the reason is that I think that one is very effective. I haven't heard from anybody that it wasn't helpful.
Confidence in speaking on stage, that
Confidence in
the
speaking
confidence in
is
communications,
on the list.
that's brilliant.
Absolutely. So there's a like I said, there's 20 things. So there's a
Yeah,
lot on there. And for some of them, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody who's kind of on the fence or trying to see how to use this sort of thing.
yeah.
For some of them, you can often take something for something else and then sort of customize it through the personal touches to make it
Oh,
more about what you wanted it to be. So, for example, if
yeah.
you were really scared about speaking on stages or scared about a particular stage that was coming up, you can
Mhm.
put those kinds of details in it and
And
it'll wrap it
personalize it to
in.
the thing.
It'll wrap it in to what it talks about.
So, would a good example possibly be like, "Oh, I speak on stages all the time, but I'm getting ready to speak in an arena with 40,000 people.
Yes.
It's gonna be
Yes.
about this topic and this topic that I'm good at, but yet I'm, you know,
But
not in front of that many people."
help me level up
Mhm.
to to the 40,000 person arena. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I've got a quote here that says it's a quote from you. I hope it's right. We'll see.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Breakthroughs don't happen by accident. They happen when the right tools meet the right moment of readiness.
Well, I don't remember saying that, but it sounds like something I would have
I'm
said.
going to call it yours now. It fits the
it totally fits me. Well, and I just love that you're on the Breakthrough Show Network. That's a great network to be on.
Shout out for Jessica, because I don't the only way I can say is the universe put me here, and the universe put a lot of the shows and then the people who come on the show, because there's some universal energetic human threads that go through these shows on this network. And it's a beautiful, beautiful group of people. I still am, I'm like in awe all the time of how in the world is this happening? Because it literally, it's not it's just a magical group. It's a magical group.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome. Yes, the universe sometimes sends us things just at the right time, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, so I can't believe I can't believe what we've covered in such a short time. What
covered a lot.
Yeah. So when you think about leadership, courageous leadership of, you know, anybody in our audience, how could our viewers use intentional technology behaviors like a personalized hypnosis to help rewire unhelpful patterns and step into their authentic, courageous leadership? So if you want, I can repeat that one, but I think
I get the gist of it.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would say that the first thing that people should do is a little self-assessment. A little self-assessment. Are you looking at something that you're already feeling pretty good about and confident about, and you want a little upgrade? Or are you looking at something that when you look in your heart, you realize this has some roots, this has some depth, this has some challenge to it? If something is in the deeper side, start by talking to a human. Start by talking to a human and assessing whether or not you would benefit from a more human-led approach. If something is on the, yeah, I kind of got this, but I could do better. I could absolutely do better. And I want to do better. And I want to make a investment in doing better. Then check out makemyhypno.com.
I love that,
because for you.
Because it's starting with our strength.
Yeah. Well, it starts with your strength, but it also starts with where you stand.
Yeah, where you're at, what something that it's a strength, but it's not where you want it to be yet.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like I'm on the treadmill 10 minutes a day. Maybe I want to kick it up, and I'm having trouble. I'm struggling with kicking it up to the 30.
But you're already on the treadmill.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if you're not already on the treadmill and you recognize that somebody talking in your ear when you're really relaxed is incomplete, you might want to talk to a human first. On the other hand, you know what? Hypnosis works because you let it work, and it will only affect you in the ways that you allow it to affect you. So I guess from the other standpoint is, hey, if you're not sure, you can always just try a makemyhypno.com recording and see if it helped. And if it doesn't take you to where you want to be, then go back and talk to the human.
Or if you have anything scary happen, make sure to definitely always reach out to someone, because I think similarly, I have one of the services I have is, I call it my Ask Me Anything line. And it's ask me anything within, you know, it's within some reasons and whatever. And it's not, because it's not a 911 line either.
Right.
Right. It's a 48-hour ask me anything on this thing and I'll answer to the best of my ability within 48 hours. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to tell you that too. But
Nice.
it's for people who are in a certain service and they have that. But I think understanding where the limits of anything we use or anything we do are, even limits on what can your phone do? What can your computer do? What is a tech problem when it's a tech problem? Because the tech problem might not have anything to do with your use of it, your computer, your internet access. It might be the other person's thing. And it's not always going to work 100% perfect. It's just not.
No.
Right?
No.
I mean, hell, neither are humans. We do our best to be as perfect as we can, but what's the song? Here, I'm going to age myself. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. Do you remember that one?
We're all striving for perfection, I think, or most of us are anyway. But I think part of what makes us human, it's part of the experience here, is that, it ain't all perfect. And we have to come to accept ourselves on that front.
It's those imperfect lessons, I think, that bring us to perfection. Because then we go inward. Hello, that's where hypno goes. See
Right.
where I'm going there? We can go inward and find the things and examine them and see what we want to keep about ourselves, what's costing us what's costing us one thing or another, and which thing we might want to change because it's, we're over budget on how this pain is feeling. And we want to, it's like the pain is now costing me more than it was to carry it, or whatever it is. I think it speaks. And when you were saying that earlier, that actually reminded me of a meme I saw come up on the World Health Organization's page the other day. They had a really cool meme about spoon theory of how when people say, I don't have enough spoons for that. It's a way of budgeting emotional energetic things, saying how many spoons you have. It's a really, it's a fairly, I hear many of my clients.
Okay, I haven't heard it yet, but I like it.
Yeah.
It has meaning. It works. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a good way, and not to downplay it truthfully, but more of a literacy way of a positive literacy on, spoons being the way to talk about that budget we're talking about, that emotional energy can be counted in how many spoons do you have, and
it's just a way of calibrating, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Because when we asked earlier at the beginning of the show, how many, how charged are your nuts on, 1 to 10, I think, finding out where you're at, like you said earlier, go inside, figuring out where you're at, and then figuring out where you want to be. And that's one of the pieces involved in the change process.
Mm-hmm.
And so using the spoon theory and going from 1 to 10, or using acorns, using squirrels, using how many apps do you have on your phone. No, that one might not be good for many people. Even me, I have more apps on my phone than many people do.
I started looking at them and going, you know what, like a parking app for another city that I am not planning to visit anytime soon. Let's let it go.
Yeah, I've been doing some cleaning like that lately myself, because it's like, okay, they're all on there because I just, and cleaning any device, including this one up here,
right,
is important. Right? If your computer's running slow,
I think I love that. I love that model, Stacy, because a lot of the people that I see and work with, things tend to bubble up, and we just wind up getting so many concepts. And I think this is almost back to where we started. There's just too much change. There's just too much going on.
Too much going on. Yeah.
Too much going on. And, the brain is an unbelievable technology in itself.
Oh,
however,
the most unbelievable, I would say.
It gets overwhelmed.
Yeah. And well, and I think if you look at the overwhelm, so tell me how this one lands for you. If you look at tech overwhelm being, so you have a computer and you haven't run, I know I'm on a Mac now, but I used to be on Windows, and we had to defrag our computer however often, right? And if you didn't do that, your computer would start running slower, and then it would eventually maybe even lock up. In a car, if you don't do an oil change, your car's going to eventually, you could have some major mechanical issues. In the computer that way, this computer up here needs a defrag once in a while, and hypnosis is a beautiful way of defragging that computer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I think that my work and your work really are sort of growing up in parallel with this explosion of technology,
Mhm.
because there needs to be some ways to offset the enormity of those changes that
Yeah.
aren't necessarily bad or good. They're just huge.
Yeah. And we can the more we can use technology for good, the more I've had this theory for 30 years. When we use those things for good, it frees us up to do more of this
Yep.
human connection,
Yep.
and frees up our time to take care of ourselves and do things like, oh, the internet's down or the electricity's out. I'm going to get my watercolors out and paint.
Right.
I'm going to go
Right.
for a walk on the beach. I'm going to go hang out with a friend in person.
Yep.
When we use the technology to do the things that we don't might not need to spend our time on, it's not that it's taking people's jobs or taking humans away, it's actually giving us something. It's giving us that time and that ability to do things to connect together, you know?
Which is really why we're here.
It's why we're
I mean,
here.
I don't think, uh, parents having children or children being born, came into the world specifically so that they could, I don't know, play SimCity or that kind of a
No,
thing.
no.
People came to have a an
Mhm.
earth experience, and that doesn't mean that digital can't be a part of it.
Right.
But, I think we're here largely to have an earth experience and a human one. We're a
Yeah.
social
We are
species.
social creatures.
Yeah.
I think we've and because we really have brought ourselves to a whole nother topic, which is wonderful, and it's one of my favorite ones. But we'd probably be on here for another, like, couple weeks if we go into that one.
Fair
It's a
enough.
little
Fair
universal
enough.
and expansive, although 7 planets in Aries tomorrow, I'll just say that. I'll drop that little nugget.
Oh, that sounds like a getting done kinda day.
Well, yeah,
I'm not an astrologer, but I do know that Aries is about,
it's beginnings energy.
beginnings energy. Okay.
And this 7 plant so Pisces is the endings of something, so
Okay.
you've heard of the end of the Piscean age,
Yes.
the Aquarian age.
Right.
Literally age of Aquarius, and the people who wrote that song understood and knew all of this. We've been moving into we've already moved into the age of Aquarius now, finally.
Yeah.
And this, I'm not an astrologer either, I've just been learning a lot lately. Um, but these 7 planets aligned in Aries in the written history of astrology, this is my understanding, it may be wrong, but um, in the written history of astrology, they can't find this having happened before. And astrology's been written for a bit.
Yeah. That's big.
So and the cat they've calculated it back and can't figure out when it had happened before either, because it's all math, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you could work it out. I mean, I couldn't work it out, but somebody
And
can work
yeah,
it out.
somebody can. Well, or GPT can, because hello, it calculates things. That's what it's good at. The energies that are gonna come with this thing, I think they're already coming today. I can feel a lot of things. I think the energies that are coming with it are going to maybe there's going to be some change coming. There's going to
Well,
be
we
some,
need change on a lot of fronts, both
and maybe
personally
it'll
and
do some
globally.
settling down of some things. Maybe it'll actually calm some shit down.
That would
So
be good too.
on that,
There are parts of the world that really,
yeah.
and people in the world who need to calm down.
Yes. So like, we've covered technology. We've talked about humans as humans and technology together. Like humans bring the art to hypnotherapy. Technology brings the science. You put it together and you've got, and the continua of where lots of things in hypnosis. I think it's an exciting world. It connects us to our unconscious mind, which connects us to source and the universe and creativity. And I know I forgot stuff that we covered, but my unconscious mind didn't. If I need it, it'll be there.
It'll be there. And the transcript will help.
Yeah, if you know, you know. If you don't know about hypnosis, even just want to learn about it, if you're curious about it, find Michelle at makemyhypno.com. Come find me. All of the information is in the show notes.
I could also let your listeners know, every month I do a free group session online on a Friday at noon Pacific. It moves around a little bit, but the information is on the classes page of my website. And for anybody who just wanted to kind of get a light experience in a free, try it, see how it goes kind of way, you can sign up for that session.
That sounds fun. That sounds fun.
Maybe you want to come.
Number one, I'd like to come. Number two, I'd love to have it. Let's talk about how we can list your thing on my calendar too.
Very good.
I love listing colleagues' events on my calendar because then we could, all my people get to see your stuff, and if we do a swap, your people get to see my stuff. That's how the world goes around. There's nothing new under the sun, but there's everything new under the sun, and collaborations are what we need to be doing in this life because there's abundance and there's more of it. There's more and more and more when we work together. So I have in that spirit, I am so excited to have had a fellow colleague doing hypnosis, talking about the tech and the hypnosis, two of my favorite things in the world today. Michelle, I have thoroughly enjoyed. And as I ask frequently of my guests is, would you come back sometime?
I would love to come back. This was
maybe when the next lightning bolt starts. I'm thinking of maybe even it's about time to have a panel discussion on Show Me Your Nuts. We may have to have a panel. I'm dreaming up of who do I put in that either does similar things, or what do I put in where we all do different things and we hit a topic up. So
both sound great.
I have thoroughly loved having you here. You guys, next week, I cannot even remember what our topic is next week, but it's more of Show Me Your Nuts. I'm going to go look really quick. Next week, we are talking about technology confidence breakthroughs. So we're going to talk about that tech and that confidence in a different way. Then again, I'd love to have you back sometime and see what's up and see what new lightning bolts you have coming. So I'll see everybody next week. And thank you again, Michelle.
Thank you, Stacy.
I got to speaking of technology, I got to figure out how to work the thing again. That's just not me not being on cue. It's me being human. That's what it is.
Being human. That's what matters.
Us humans, we'll see you guys humans next week.
Thank you for joining us on this nutty adventure. Remember, personal growth and wellness are journeys best taken together. Keep exploring, keep growing, and don't forget to show me your nuts next time.